Welcome to Pay-to-Play Impressions for Far Cry 2. This game is available on PC, Xbox 360, and PlayStation 3. And because of backwards compatibility, you can play it also on Xbox One consoles and Xbox Series consoles. Now, the game was published in 2008 by Ubisoft, and it was developed by a very internal studio, Ubisoft Microsoft. So it's a bit of an old game. For that reason, I used certain mods to improve the game itself. So first of all, I downloaded what's not a mod actually, but an official kind of a bonus missions. It's called Intel bonus missions that I downloaded, installed. Then I set the game in DirectX 9 mode, because if you run it in any of DirectX mode, it doesn't work that well with other mods, and so therefore you should be choosing DirectX 9 basically as a better choice. So the mods that I used after that were Far Cry 2 patch, which is adds additional patches and fixes a bunch of bugs in it, and as well as removes this kind of a yellowish color tint to all the graphics in the game. Then I also used the Far Cry 2 enhanced texture pack, which improves the textures. So all that kind of improves the look of the game as far as I'm concerned, and also I will be providing the links and the names of all the mods I use and where to find them, so that if you want to, you go ahead and use them. Now, when it comes to mods, the game has quite a few of them. There's quite a big variety of different mods. They're changing different aspects, whether it's they change the handling of vehicles, whether they change the handling of guns, names of the guns, how realistic the weapons behave, how realistic the enemies are in terms of how bullet sponges they are or not. All different things are available. So if you like the game, you'll have actually a capability to replay it just by messing around with different mods if you like to. The game is a FPS with an open world approach. You have 2 big maps there available for you to go between them. And overall, kind of feels really nice and open in terms of its own open world. But let's look at the options first, and I'll show you also. And after that, I will jump into the game itself. So here we are in the options. I set up everything on very high. I will be providing the hardware specifications that I'm using to run this game. I run it at 60 FPS, no problems. I just encountered slowdowns only during when I was trying to record the game, but I think that might be the reason that I was running the game for way too long as a background while messing around with things. So generally, never seen it drop below 60. It's usually around 60, and it doesn't go higher than that because the mods locked it in. If you run it at higher frame rate, the problem becomes is that the enemies begin to kind of behave strangely. So in order to avoid that, you want to run at 60 FPS only, locked in. So let's get into the actual game. So then let me show you. So I'm going to just load up the last mission that I started on. Here we are. Let's load up. And let's talk about the story of the game, right? So it's an FPS with an open world and so on, but what's the actual story? Well, you play as a mercenary, and you get to pick what kind of mercenary you are. Like, they just get pick profiles, so it doesn't really change anything, except the fact that what other mercenaries you're going to encounter, because you cannot encounter yourself. That's all the impact on the whole story when you're choosing the mercenary. So you choose a mercenary, and you are a mercenary sent to unnamed African country. The country is in the middle of civil war, and you are sent in to eliminate the weapons dealer who's selling weapons to both sides. The idea is that if you can eliminate him, then the weapon supply will dry up, and then the conflict will stop because the 2 sides will have to talk to each other. Something along those lines. That's the idea. It's not easy to understand the story without the actual manual or the loading screens, like the sections here that tell you what's going on, because the game does not explain it that well. It tries to, but it doesn't explain that well. So you would want to use a manual to kind of understand what's going on. You don't need to use a manual if you want to play the game, to learn how to play the game, because the tutorial section of the game is pretty good and has no problems in teaching you how to play. But for the story and to tell you about the people and so on, you do want to use a manual in the end. So here we are here in the game. Besides also the manual, there's a section called the journal, which also gives you a bit of information and reminds you what things are and how it is. So you can use that for your benefit as well. So let's jump in and get moving here. We have different vehicles available in the game. There's cars, there's boats, and so on that you can use to traverse because the map is quite big, and it's not that easy just to walk. It's possible to walk if you want to walk it, so you can also walk it, but you will have to kind of traverse large distances, so it's better to do it in a car. So we're just gonna drive up here. We'll stop on this section here and get out because we're gonna be too close to location that I need to go into, and we need to start getting moving there into slowly. Now, before we start doing that, let me show you the world, right? So the world looks pretty well, it looks pretty good, and it looks actually fantastic during the sunsets and the dawn sections when it's shown in the world here. There's a day-night cycle, and it's just when there's a sunset or dawn, the world looks really, really beautiful. Like it's fantastic vistas that you're gonna be able to see. Okay, so what I'm doing here is scouting for the enemies because the enemies do blend into the environment. It's not that easy to find them. The terrain makes it easier for them to blend in and so on. So you have to pay attention, be careful, look for little small signs, and listen because enemies might sneak up on you, or you might sneak up onto the enemies as well. Or you might just walk into them sometimes without realizing it. That sometimes happened to me. So here we are. I'm just making sure there's a building there, so there should be enemies there, because that's a mission that I'm going on. So should be seeing the enemies at some point. By the way, I'm playing on the highest level difficulty, the infamous level difficulty. I did complete on this map. This is the first map. By this time I already completed all the missions for the gun, for the weapons dealer, and all the side missions that you get through the mobile phone. I did some body missions and so on. So I did I know it says that I completed about 16% of the game, but I did quite a bit already. That's but I'll talk exactly why I decide that I had enough of this game a bit later. Just need to make sure I'm not running into somebody. It's extremely unfortunate thing to happen, is to run into somebody and then get killed. Now I do have a special thing that I bought at the store that makes me more invisible to the enemies, like the more stealthy in a way. There's enemy. That's why they didn't see me, because I do have a camo suit on me that I bought, and now the enemies are responding. So one thing to do is not to hide behind certain walls, because certain walls will not help to stop bullets. Like a sheet metal disc like that, it does not help. The enemies will be able to shoot through them easily. Same thing through the wooden things and walls and so on. So you gotta choose your cover carefully. Now I'm gonna make sure that all the shooting will usually attract enemies, and now they're coming at me. I need to make sure that there's a sniper. There we go. Nope. Okay, we got him. All right. Let's see, anybody else? I said the firing of shots will attract enemies. If you stay in the same location, they'll start firing from the same location. They'll pretty much figure out where you are, and kind of try to corner you, go around the sides and so on, depending on locations and what's available to them in terms of options. If they feel that they're being sniped at, what the enemies will do is that they will actually take cover and hide. So therefore it is something that I would suggest is to move around, not to stay in the same single spot. But then again, that's my choice. Like this is a weapons that I chose, how to use the sniper rifles and so on. You can do it differently. You don't have to do it this way. You can use weapons with suppressors and kind of sneak up on the enemies and slowly and quietly take them out. That's also a possibility. There are quite a few different weapons available in the game. Now, let me show you also another thing about weapons. See, I can pick up enemy's weapons if once they drop them. Besides buying them on the weapon store, right? The issue here is that the game has system of durability for the weapons. So as you use the weapons, as you keep on using them, carrying them around, they will degrade, and that will force they will stop performing at their best eventually. So if you want to keep the performance high, you need to get the new weapons, and for that you have to go to the weapon shop. You don't have to buy the weapon each time. Once you bought it once, you can actually go to that section that's called like an armory type of section in the weapon shop and just pick up a fresh type of a weapon. I see there's also boats available in the game. Boats, cars, some of them have weapons on top of them mounted, so you can use that. And generally use them to kind of, like I said, to traverse the map. Because distances are pretty big. So, alright, let's go. Sometimes the enemies will get in the cars, get in the boats, and come in search for you, but in this case they didn't. So, alright. Hopefully we'll not encounter any more weapons, enemies here, and we keep on moving. So, the game tries to develop certain themes in here. So, one of those themes is pretty similar, is well, it's pretty obvious with that you get paid in diamonds when you accomplish your missions here. So this is a clear reference to blood diamonds, the conflict diamonds, and so on. So, and that's what I think one of the themes is. You are a mercenary, and there are gun runners in this game, and so on. So, people who are making money on other people's misery. That idea is explored in the game. That idea is explored is actually it's kind of difficult to tell, difference between good and evil type of thing, because you're not sure. You are a mercenary supposed to kind of try to stop the conflict, but are your methods actually valid? Because you kind of go around doing missions for both sides. Because once you came in, the game starts, and as any story will start, what happens is that things don't go the way they were planned. And so you end up doing missions for both sides of the conflict. And you also kind of understand that the civil wars are very messy here, because the game tries to show that through the fact that, well, the enemies, well, not the enemies, both sides, as you walk through your headquarters to get the menu missions, they're talking, and you can hear them kind of discussing things, and you understand that both sides are pretty horrible people. And there's no good side to this conflict. It's not like you can choose to say like, oh, this one is better, oh, this side is better. No, they're both equally bad, equally horrible, and because of them, people are suffering. I don't see any more enemies here. Okay. The corruption overall is also kind of a theme here, because, well, you kind of eliminating some people because they tell you, oh, this person's doing this thing that's bad, or so on. So kind of the idea is that, well, people get corrupted by the money, so that and the chaos and so on, and you even doing some things that maybe not exactly good, because you just want to get money so you can buy new weapons and so on to be able to be more effective. So from that perspective, the game does explore this kind of interesting themes. There's an issue here though, how they actually explore it. In the story, like I said, they cannot really tell the story, understand what's going on without the manual, loading screens, or reading the journal. And the missions that you do, not exactly kind of related to the whole, it doesn't feel like they're related to the whole, your main mission, so you're not sure exactly like, why am I doing this? Why am I going through this kind of missions? Why am I helping this side or that side of the conflict? Yeah, the game says like, oh, you're doing strategy so that you can get more, closer to your target or so on, but how's this doing missions for one side or the other side helps with that? The game kind of doesn't tell you. There's other part to what I didn't like about the game is the fact that you end up quite often going through the same locations, same places. It's, the repetition of that becomes, especially given the fact that the story is not keeping up enough interest. The repetition of same locations, same places begins to become starts to become tiresome, especially given the fact that hear that. There we go. This one. It's another one who's shooting at me. But yeah, so repetition of locations, and you feel like, oh well, I've already been here. I've been doing this. I've been here, done that, right? And so that leads to situations that you just kind of get tired of going through the same motions, especially then there's no payoff. Actually, this is a good time to show you the healing system and the health system in the game. So you see, as soon as my health bar is made up of 5 gradients, 5 sections. As soon as I drop to the last one, I have to actually do like radical intervention, take out the bullet or something like that. Otherwise, I will die because the health there will not regenerate. The health does regenerate between other sections of the health bar. And I'm gonna get killed right now because I'm trying to. I don't have time to get myself healed up. Yes. So, but in other sections between in the health bar, the health will regenerate. I'm just gonna go to different missions and so on, and I'll show you there. But once it drops below, you cannot. So the way to heal is to, well, if you drop below, you can see you have to do that special intervention, take out a bullet and so on. At all other points, you can heal with a syringe, which will heal you back to the full health. Or there's also water bottles, which will heal you to one section, and one section of the health bar basically will be healed. So that's other thing to do. So back talking about the story and so on. There's a kind of quasi-choice system in the game that I found out about when I was just looking for some stuff about the game on the internet, as was mentioned. But for the understood that there is no impact in the end on the storyline itself. So again. There are kind of, like I said, the story is just not clear. There's a lot of things to do, and there are storyline missions, there are side missions. We have like the missions that you can pick up from satellite towers that you come up to, and then you get a call on the phone that tells you, oh hey, by the way, go eliminate this target. There are gun shop missions, which is ideas that go eliminate this convoy, which is a rival that's carrying weapons, and if you do so, it will unlock new weapons at the gun shop. There are missions for bodies, which is other mercenaries that you find that they ask you to do things overall. So this kind of stuff, and I did. Oh, this is kind of weird. I had not encountered this kind of a loading thing before in the middle of the game. Something's weird, but all this kind of things happen, and all these different missions are available. And the issue with them is that all these missions are pretty much similar. It's the idea is like, oh, go there and then shoot this guy and then so on. Like the mission might be about retrieving this or that suitcase or something like that, but to retrieve the suitcase you still have to go through some enemies, and you have to shoot some enemies again. Another sniper here on that tower. Come on, where are you? And so, even if you kind of approach differently, it's not always possible to really do something different, like do anything just kind of in any different way except to shoot some people. So, oh, I think the enemy is coming up in the car. Like I said, you have to pay attention, listen. It is. There we go. enemies do use boats, cars, and so on, and the guns that are mounted on them also go into use. Also, I might decide to say I can use shoot the barrels. Too far. Okay. And shooting explosive barrels will start the fires, and as a result of starting the fires, the enemies will have to run out and deal, because they have to take cover from the fire. That's another thing that they can do. I guess this enemy is no longer there. I think he's the one who was in the car. So that's another way to kind of approach the game, is to approach the missions, deal with them. Oh, here you go. Oh, like I said, the enemies will come investigate the gunshots, and this won't start doing that. But if they're facing a person shooting at them, they will take cover. They will hide. Wounded enemies actually will try to use the sidearm, and their bodies will try to come up and help them retrieve them. And it's possible one way to use to kind of flush out the rest of the bodies if they will be, you know, good enough to try to retrieve them. Sometimes they will not do that. There's another enemy somewhere here, but I don't see him. Okay, let's jump in somewhere else, and I'll show you a few other things there. Anyway, I'm gonna show you how effective it is to use these explosive barrels and so on. So this kind of thing, since like I said, different missions are available in the game, and I did quite a lot of them. All the side missions I did in the first map. But part of the reasons that I'm playing at a higher level of difficulty, so I think something's not happening that's supposed to happen, and that I found out again just researching on the internet about the game, is that eventually the enemy is supposed to become scared of you and hide, and that's not happening with me. Maybe because I'm just playing on to higher level of difficulty. As a result, as you travel around, you have to travel through the checkpoints on the map, because they are on the rivers, they are on the roads, and you use the vehicles to traverse distances. You end up quite often driving, getting out of the vehicle, clearing out the checkpoint, getting back into the vehicle, clearing the next driving, clearing out the next stopping, clearing out the next checkpoint, and so on and so on. And so it becomes kind of type of tiresome. And so then you end up going back to the same locales quite often, and again that becomes tiresome, because all the enemies are usually spawning, and you're like, okay, I know that's gonna be enemies here, there's gonna be somebody here, there's gonna be snipers there, and you just kind of go on this kind of a repeat and so on, which becomes burdensome and just not interesting enough, especially given the fact that the game is not have enough of a story to tie it all together. I'm not sure why I'm getting this kind of loading screens and frame rate drops. I think maybe because I was trying to keeping the game loaded too long while I was running through mock rounds for this video. Well, and so this does affect it. This is the reason why I decided that I just had enough of this game. Things were not just all there for me to be interested enough in it. I do like the fact that you have to be very careful, have to be sneaking around. You kind of, you know, different approaches to the game to make sure that you're not doing something like that. There you go, we're gonna start fires now, and this will cause the enemies to take cover from the flames. Try to escape the flames at the same time. And I think there's a sniper there. It's the one that's shooting at me. Could be this one also.
Who the hell are those guys?
This one sneaked up on me. I have to be careful about that kind of people. I can, of course, use a Molotov cocktail to start a fire, so that will flush some enemies out. Keep them away from me. Because now they're too busy dealing with the flames to shoot at me. Start a few more fires around. that's another way to, like I said, this is another way to deal with enemies. And I actually did not use this method for a bit, because I didn't think that's gonna be that effective until I just randomly shot a barrel without kind of trying to. Then I saw how effective that was. I'm like, oh wow, that's actually pretty good. Okay. Well, I think I showed you the different approaches enough about the game. So overall, like I mentioned, the game does elements in terms of elements all them together. It's all pretty good. It's all there. It's all everything works. I really like the sneaking around, making sure you know careful, you're listening for enemies, making look at the land, making sure you look at the map, deciding how you're gonna approach things. All that I really liked. It's just that the story was just not there. It's not a. It just was not working enough to put it all together. Otherwise, I think it would have worked much better because the themes are there. Like I quite clearly they tried. So overall, I think it's a very good game. It would have been better if the themes worked better, or at least they weren't, they tied up enough to make it interesting for me. Otherwise, it's just that I eventually just got bored. That was not a good thing. Well, overall, though, also I'd like to go say that there's quite a good variety of weapons that are available in the game. There are different vehicles available. Besides the cars, there's I said like there's boats. There's an airboat available in the game. There's a paraglider available in the game. Even though that one I think is there just to kind of reach one location or something like that. But anyway, even the fact that it's still there, it's all that together. I would say it's a cool game. Even though the series Stone tries to talk about, it's still a cool game. So overall, I would say that this is a very good, cool game. And I wish the story was a bit better so that I would have then kept playing. Just the story is not strong enough. Like the elements are there, they just not put together right. Well, that's all I have to say about this game. Thank you for watching and for listening. If you like this video, please like it. If you didn't like it, don't like it, and please follow and subscribe.